First, I would like you to state your name, your full name, and your title, professional title.
Linda Redford, and I'm a minister.
And can you phrase it, including the question? So, my name is...
Oh, I see. Okay, my name is Linda Redford, and I'm a minister of the Peace Village Sanctuary.
And can you briefly tell us what the Peace Village Sanctuary is?
It's actually
The Peace Village Sanctuary.
Okay. The Peace Village is a recreation of the Cherokee concept of a healing sanctuary.
Okay. So, Linda, you've heard these stories about Darian Albert, Victoria Lindsay, Lawrence King. When you hear these stories, how do you feel?
Well, I continue to have a broken heart. The stories regarding the violence with children against children continue to break my heart because it's preventable. One of the hardest things is to continue to hear the violence that's perpetrated from children to children. It used to be just adults to adults. Now we have children to children, and it's getting younger and younger. The solution is to look for the prevention and to look to where there was a time when these things didn't happen in America. And we have to go back to what I refer to as the Peace Village concept and the point of view toward children, that they were sacred. In Cherokee they were considered adawis, and a dawi in Cherokee is a guardian of wisdom. So if our educational system and our entertainment and our music industries, which are the most powerful means of education, instead of interpreting the violence and the separation of everything that they create, if they would adopt an adawi, a child, as a sacred being and develop their inherent wisdom. So each child has their own inherent wisdom. And when that's honored and when that's sacred, they will stop having violence against someone else because they know another child is as sacred or an adawi like they are. Right now, they're just perpetrating what they learn.
So what does this solution look like tangibly? Like what would the Peace Village offer these schools in which these kids attended?
Okay. One of the main role models that I have on my website to show a structure where the Peace Village is actually implemented is that an idea, for example, would be to have an Indian elder in a Peace Village structure on every school, so that when a problem comes up, the children who's ever involved in the problem, they go to this Peace Village and they talk with the Indian elder and they look for spiritual solutions, instead of what we have today still separates children. And we need something that's going to unify children. And if we, again, go back to where this kind of violence didn't exist in America, we have to start returning to the teachings of those who knew how to do it. And the Indians knew how to do it. So we would create a Peace Village structure within each school. And we would adopt, say, for example, the Honor Pledge, which has 7 traditions, and we would teach that to the children. And slowly, we will re-educate these children that they're sacred, and they will no longer perpetrate violence from one to another.
Some of these kids, though, are living in environments of terror. So whether it be terror inside their own homes, whether it be at school, not feeling protected, or whether when they leave school, they literally feel unsafe. So how do you mend that with projects like the ones you're describing?
The way you mend that kind of environment where children are living in what I call the war of their homes within their own homes, and then they walk out their doors and there's war when they walk out the door. An entire community has to be involved, and the community would be part of the Peace Village. So the circle community would be from the home through the business industry to the school, whatever that trail is, from the home to the school and back home. That's the circle community. Everyone would have to be involved in the Peace Village teachings. You would begin to see the healing process. If we have an example of a pilot project with just in one classroom, to where we integrated these thought processes into a what do you call it, multi-level children and race. There was a lot of violence within the classroom, children against children. After 1 year of the concept of the Peace Village, I would go up and teach and go into circle. Within 1 year, the teacher said that he had more unity within that classroom than any year of teaching, and he had been teaching for almost 15 years. He said he'd never seen the kids go from the classroom to the playground, and they would stay together because they all had the same, attitude when they left the schoolroom into the playground, and they even took it home to their parents. So the power is in the people, all of the people coming together to do the same thing, their common goal. Much more powerful than hiding in a home in terror, because there's not going to be any more hiding when you have this, when you can see through. Transparent, thank you. When you have a transparent community, then you have protection. And that's what our children are missing, because our children aren't considered sacred. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Upon implementing something like the edutainment projects, how long would it take to start seeing results?
Implementing the edutainment projects that I have created, you'll see the results within a year in a classroom. Within a year, a classroom can be turned around. These kids can be turned around. They're just waiting. They're just waiting for adults to behave responsibly. They want some kind of teachings that touches their heart, not just their intellect. Kids do not learn just through their intellect. When that happens, we're asking them to be robots. We're going to throw in this information year after year, and they don't consider them within these teachings, so they don't learn.
Would you say the curriculum you'd like to provide is emotional education?
The curriculum I provide is emotional, it's spiritual, it's mental. It involves the whole person as opposed to just the mental aspect of the child. That's what's missing. The mental. Right now we have so much power in the entertainment, the music, the education, that's missing the heart.
In your opinion, what do you think is going on in those Chicago homes of the kids who beat Darian Albert to death, and in the Florida homes of the girls who kidnapped and beat that girl? What do you think is going on in the homes, the schools, the communities to make violence become a regular occurrence?
What's going on in the homes of these kids who are putting violence against violence, whether it's in Chicago or Florida or Norway, is a lack of honor. There is no honor within the homes. What's role modeled is self-hatred. We have generational self-hatred, and it's getting bigger and bigger and influenced with our entertainment, influenced by our music, and that's all our kids have. They don't have anything that unifies them. They have everything that separates them. So why not take out their self-hatred on some kid who has red hair? Like, for example, the child in Calabasas who had red hair, and there was a episode on the Simpsons where everybody went and beat up some kid who had red hair. That's how powerful our entertainment is. So that's what's going on in those. They're poor, they have self-hatred, they're powerless, and all our educational system wants to do is pour information into their head. There's nothing addressing who they are. There's nothing addressing their problem. If there was a Peace Village structure in that school community in Chicago, that would be addressed immediately. There would be a circle wrapped around that home, or all those homes. There would be community involved, and it would be all from the heart. And those kids would learn and they would heal within a year, I promise.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, Julie Rose, I'd like to thank you very much for your passion with this project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually do have another question. Can you tell me, explain the work you've done over the last 30 years?
Explain the work I've done over the past 30 years. Ooh, that's a big question.
And just to give the viewer an idea of where you're coming from.
Okay, where I'm coming from that home that was violent, that was poor, where there was no hope. I'm coming from that place of self-hatred that all those kids with the violence against violence are experiencing. And I'm emotional because I know now there's an answer. There's a solution. It's just not being heard because it's going to cost money. And it's going to mean we have to change our priorities. And it hurts me to think that I can do this work for 30 years and it won't be heard. And it won't be adopted. And those children might not get it. And so I do get emotional about it. So 30 years ago, what happened to me is I had a near-death experience. And what I was shown was exactly what I've created over the past 30 years. When I first had the near-death experience, it was unimaginable that I could do what I've done the past 30 years, which is step by step be shown to create projects that will unify, that will create honor, that will prevent the violence that's going on right now. The answer or the proof is me. I'm no longer attempting suicide. I'm no longer alcoholic and drug addict. I'm no longer in self-punishment. I am doing something that benefits people. Oof. And every single one of those kids can do the same thing. But it's got to touch their hearts, not their intellects, where they're going to change. And I told my grandson, if I can get through this without crying. My oldest grandson is 26 and his name's Johnny. And when I first started this project, he said to me, "Graham, how are you going to do this?" And I said to him, "You know, grandson, do you remember the story I told you about how the first Europeans came to America and they were on the East Coast? And they didn't like the teachings that was going on this continent." And I said, and they eliminated the teachings. And what happened as a result of that is our world became very violent, dishonorable, and very shaming. So we're going to start on the West Coast. And one person at a time, we're going to teach. We're going to return them to the teachings of honor and we're going to go all the way across the United States to the East Coast, and our world will become honorable again. So that's my story. Bye for now.
That was great.
I'm my daddy. Yes. Excuse me. Did we get the words my book? Okay. Let's see if I can print it. Are you going to print for me, baby? And then I want you to do this. I'm going to copy this for you. And you know what else you can do? Is you can get a shot of this. Go, baby, go!
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm so not good with interviews. I thought I had that. There it is. Okay, this is going to be. It is so easy. It just takes money. And an Indian in every school. Truly. And I needed to explain more what the Peace Village was. I don't think I did a good job.
I think you did well.
Are you able to get the traditions?
Yeah.
Is there enough light? You need more light, baby? That help? That's the presentation.
Hold on.
Today is that my passion is contagious and that we inspire you to see with different eyes. I am Linda Redford, founder and president of Honor Kids International, a nonprofit organization whose goal is to prevent and eliminate child abuse. I realize people suffer primarily from what indigenous people call a spiritual malady, a disconnection from the animating principle or vital essence of life. And a spiritual malady is a progressive disease that manifests as aggressive and compulsive behavior. Aggression as in the form of rape or compulsion in the form of addiction both serve as a substitute form of connection. Although these substitute forms of connection depower rather than empower the self, human beings are social animals and our need for connection is vital. How does a spiritual malady... What happens here? So we open the... Let's put that in the trash. Okay. Now. Yes. Earn this name. Julia's copy presentation. It looks like it is. My favorite picture is November 1st. That's my favorite picture. Oof. Isn't that beautiful? Symbolically, this in the center represents the creator of whatever belief, and all the different races coming from the same place. In the womb, of course, of the female eagle. And here's the tree of peace. So all of the consciousness is in the womb, being fed equality, honor, sacredness of the eagle from all the roots of the tree of peace in the circle of humanity. And that's what was broken. The circle of humanity. Therefore, the circle of community. We need to return to these teachings.
And can you go to one of the pages that asks like a question?
Yeah. So, for example, each day, this is the text of the Honor Project. The journal, My Rite of Passage and Adventure in Self-Discovery, is the text of the Honor Project. So there is a question and then a reminder statement. Today I'll remember the extraordinary is often found in the ordinary. And then the action question is, what simple things in my life do I take for granted? So it's a discovery of what I call the Adawi, which is the guardian of wisdom of each child.
Can you go to January 1st?
Perfect. Yes, I can. This is the draft. I don't have any new ones. Okay, so the destination is your imagination. And January 1st, I don't know if it's the same one, is, today I'll remember the world is important to me. That's the reminder statement. The action question is, if I could make changes in the world, what would they be? And then each child, adult, answers that question.